Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Yeah, Vidya Mataji, when you're ready, please go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Cheva Naruttamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nasta Prayasya Bhareshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhavaiti Naistihiki. Today we are reading from Canto 10, chapter 57. Satyajit murdered, the jewel returned. Text 1 through 21. Text 1. Sri Badarayani said, although Lord Govinda was fully aware of what had actually occurred, when he heard reports that the Pandavas and Queen Kunti had burned to death, he went with Lord Balarama to the kingdom of the Kurus to fulfill the family obligations expected of him. Text 2. The two lords met with Bhishma, Kripa, Vidura, Gandhari, and Drona, showing sorrow equal to theirs. They cried out, alas, how painful this is. Text 3. Taking advantage of this opportunity, O King, Akrura and Kritavarma went to Satadanva and said, why not take the Sayamataka jewel? Text 4. Satyajit promised his jewel-like daughter to us, but then gave her to Krishna instead, contemptuously neglecting us. So why should Satyajit not follow his brother's path? Text 5. His mind thus influenced by their advice, wicked Satadanva murdered Satyajit in his sleep simply out of greed. In this way, the sinful Satadanva shortened his own lifespan. Text 6. As the woman of Satyajit's palace screamed and helplessly wept, Satadanva took the jewel and left, like a butcher after he has killed some animals. Text 7. When Satyabhama saw her dead father, she was plunged into grief, lamenting, my father, oh, I am killed. She fell unconscious. Text 8. Queen Satyabhama put her father's corpse in a large vat of oil and went to Hastinapur, where she sorrowfully told Lord Krishna, who was already aware of the situation, about her father's murder. Text 9. When Lord Krishna and Lord Balarama heard this news, O king, they exclaimed, alas, this is the greatest tragedy for us. Thus, imitating the ways of human society, they lamented, their eyes brimming with tears. Text 10. The Supreme Lord returned to his capital with his wife and elder brother. After arriving in Dwarka, he readied himself to kill Satyadanva and retrieve the jewel from him. Text 11. Upon learning that Lord Krishna was preparing to kill him, Satyadanva was struck with fear. To save his life, he approached Kritavarma and begged him for help. But Kritavarma replied as follows, text 12 and 13. Kritavarma said, I dare not offend the Supreme Lords, Krishna and Balarama. Indeed, how can one who troubles them expect any good fortune? Concern all his followers lost both their wealth and their lives because of enmity towards them. And after battling them 17 times, Jarasandha was left without even a chariot. Text 14. His appeal refused. Satadanva went to Akrura and begged him for protection. But Akrura similarly told him, who would oppose the two personalities of Godhead if he knew their strength? Text 15. It is the Supreme Lord who creates, maintains, and destroys this universe simply as his pastime. The cosmic creators cannot even understand his purpose, bewildered as they are by his illusory Maya. Text 16. As a child of 7, Krishna uprooted an entire mountain and held it aloft as easily as a young boy picks up a mushroom. Text 17. I offer my obeisances to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, whose every deed is amazing. He is the Supreme Soul, the unlimited source and fixed center of all existence. Text 18. His appeal, thus rejected by Akrura also, Satadanva placed the precious jewel in Akrura's care and fled on a horse that could travel 100 yoganas, 800 miles. Text 19. My dear king, Krishna and Balarama mounted Krishna's chariot, which flew the flag of Garuda and was yoked with tremendously swift horses and pursued their elders, Murderer. Text 20. In a garden on the outskirts of Mithila, the horse Satadanva was riding collapsed. Terrified, he abandoned the horse and began to flee on foot, with Krishna in angry pursuit. Text 21. As Satadanva fled on foot, the Supreme Lord, also going on foot, cut off his head with a sharp-edged disc. The Lord then searched Satadanva's upper and lower garments for the Sayamataka jewel. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Vidyamati. Thank you so much for reading all the translations. So, thank you everybody for joining today's discussion. So, we'll offer brief prayers and we'll continue. Om Jnanajmirandasya Gnana Jana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Desatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, today we're starting a new chapter, 27th chapter. So, it's interesting. It's intriguing pastimes of Krishna in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a simple storyline. Only thing is, a couple of new names are introduced. I had little difficulty remembering the names, so hopefully you can follow when Vidya Mataji was reading. Hopefully you understood the overall storyline and the names. So essentially, as we describe the story past time, I'll give the names also. So essentially, in the previous chapter, that ended with how Krishna approached Satyajit, and then we heard the whole pastime of Samantaka Jewel, where Satyajit refused to give jewel to Krishna, and then finally blame of Prasenna, Satyajit's brother's death came on Krishna, and then how Krishna relieved himself of that blame on his name by going to the forest and all that we discussed. And toward the end of the chapter, we heard about how King Satyajit felt little remorseful and wanted to make amends with Krishna by giving the jewel and also Satyabhama to Krishna in marriage. Satyabhama was his daughter. So Krishna accepted Satyabhama, but he did not take the jewel. So far we heard about Krishna marrying 3 devotees so far. Mother Rukmini Devi, and then Jambavan gave Jambavati, second wife, and the third wife we heard about is Satyabhama, who is the daughter of King Satyajit. So now, before Krishna marries other wives or queens in Dwaraka, the story is proceeding towards what happened in relation to Satyabhama, what happened in relation to the Samantaka Jewel, like that is what is going on, okay, in this chapter. So we'll continue, and then we'll hear in the later chapters, in fact in the next chapter itself, we'll hear how Krishna marries 5 other princesses like that. So having heard about Rukmini Devi, Jambavati and Satyabhama's marriage so far. So now this chapter is titled Satyajit murdered and the jewel returned back. So by whom? By we'll hear more because Satyajit is already murdered. So Krishna takes the jewel finally. Yeah. So going to the text number 1 of this chapter. So Sukadeva Goswami is describing this pastime to our Parishad Maharaj. He is saying now he's switching the pastime to little bit a different place. Still the overall context is Samantaka Javal only. So he's describing that Krishna heard that Pandavas died in a fire that came for the house, vacation home they went to. So when Krishna heard that, most of you might know the background that in Mahabharata, Kauravas, specifically Duryodhana, was evil-minded and was making always schemes to kill Pandavas in different ways. So one of the ways he wanted to kill was by putting fire to he got a vacation home made that is made of lac. Lac means substance that will catch fire easily. If you put some little fire, it will catch fire completely like that. Such a kind of material he used to make the vacation home, and he asked Pandavas, my dear Pandavas, I request you to go and enjoy in this vacation home in summer like that. That's how he sent them. And then in the background, he made a plans to somebody will torch that home so that way in the night time, so it will burn, they will all die in the fire like that. So that is the plan he made. So thankfully, because of Vidura's compassion, Vidura's well-wishing nature, and Vidura's intelligence, Vidura's wisdom, he told Pandavas ahead of time. He told Yudhishthira ahead of time that this is the plan, and then he also sent somebody who can dig a tunnel from inside the home to outside like that. So that's how with Vidura's help, Pandavas could escape that fire. But nobody knows this. Everybody thought Pandavas died. So Krishna already, as omniscient, he knows already. But still, to maintain the social custom and to keep the secret that Pandavas are still alive, he went back to the place where the Kauravas were there in Hastinapur. They were all lamenting, oh my God, Pandavas died like that, they were lamenting. Some of these people are really lamenting because they don't know the truth. Like the people like Duryodhana, they thought, wow, we succeeded in our plan like that. They were happy like that. So that's the other thing going on. So now, just 1 second. Yeah. So now, that is the first verse. In the second verse, when Krishna and Balaram went there to Hastinapur, who did they meet? Some key personality names are given here. Bhishma, Kripa, Vidura, Gandhari and Drona. So, Krishna and Balaram also cried out, alas, how painful this is like that. So, this is described that they are also maintaining the social custom so that people don't get any idea that Pandavas are still alive like that. Number 1. And our Acharyas also indicate 2 things. Srila Sridhar Swami is mentioned in the BBD purport, where it's describing that these Bhishma, Kripa, Vidura, Gandhari and Drona were really sad about Pandavas leaving. You notice, Gandhari was also really sad. Gandhari was a pious lady, even though she is Duryodhana's mother. So, they're really sad that Pandavas left their body like that. That is one aspect Sridhar Swami is giving. Sridhar Swami is giving. Our other acharyas like Sri Jiva Goswami and Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur describe, interestingly, the names, how they're mentioned, is also in the order of respectfulness, order of greatness of them like that. You notice, we heard this principle in other areas also. In last chapter also we heard this principle. That's a nice principle of Vaishnava etiquette. So, because Bhishma Dev was the eldest, that's why his name is mentioned first. And then Kripa, Vidura and Gandhari. And then Drona was actually superior. But why is he mentioned of Gandhari? our acharyas describe that Drona came later on. That is why Drona's name is mentioned later, it seems. So that's the principle of Vaishnava etiquette. Sometimes we think, oh, Krishna is Bhavagrahi Janardana. He will be happy with our intentions. We don't need to follow rules and regulations. We don't need to care whom to respect first, whom to respect second. Sometimes the devotees are in this mode like that. It's true, Krishna is Bhavagrahi Janardana. It's true, Krishna looks at our heart more than our endeavors and actions. But it's also true, when we love Krishna, we try to not only have good intentions, we also follow up with good action also. So similarly, we also as devotees, we practice the proper sadachar also. That's what is described. We can learn from this lesson, from the acharyas in this verse, second verse. Moving on to the third verse. Then, now Krishna and Balaram went to Hastinapur. That we heard. While Krishna and Balaram went to Hastinapur, what is happening in Dwaraka? That's being described now. Okay, this is where the names are coming. Okay, so please get used to the names. These names will be there for this whole chapter, today and tomorrow's session at least. So Akrura. Akrura, we already know Akrura. Akrura is a nice pure devotee of Krishna. Right? So, and then we heard in the previous chapter, he went from Madhura to Vrindavan to bring Krishna in the chariot, Krishna and Balaram in the chariot on the request of Kamsa to that sacrificial ceremony of the bow sacrifice like that. We heard that Akrura, how great devotee Akrura is, we heard already. Another name being introduced is Kritavarma. So these two personalities are in Dwaraka, Akrura and Kritavarma. What did they do? They went to another personality. His name is Satadanva. Okay, please get used to the names. Akrura, Kritavarma. They both went to Satadanva. And then they encouraged him to go to take the Samantaka jewel from King Satyajit. How does he take Samantaka jewel from King Satyajit? He needs to kill him really. So they, our acharyas describes, Sri Swami describes these Akrura and Kritavarma went to Satadanva. They must have flattered him, saying that we are not so brave like you. You are very brave. Why don't you go and kill Satyajit and get the Samantaka jewel like that? So that's how they must have encouraged. Srila Sri Swami is writing in this commentary. And going to the fourth verse, actually the reason why Akrura and Kritavarma wanted Satyajit killed is being described in this verse. Basically, Satyajit actually promised that his jewel-like daughter. Who is jewel-like daughter? Satyabhama. So he said that he will give the daughter in marriage to both Akrura and Kritavarma, and actually Acharyas describe to also Satadanva, it seems. So to all of them, Satyajit promised that, oh, I'll give my daughter Satyabhama in marriage to you, my dear Kritavarma, my dear Akrura, my dear Satadanva. Like that he gave a promise previously. But finally he gave the daughter in marriage to Krishna, we heard in the last chapter. So then that is why they are saying, why don't you go kill Satyajit? Like that is describing. Our Acharyas in the BBT purport, our Acharyas commentaries further describe the reasons why Akrura and Kritavarma resorted to like this. First thing is, they are both devotees of Krishna, but their unusual behavior can be explained like this. Sri Jiva Goswami says, remember Akrura went from Madhura to Vrindavan to take Krishna and Balaram to Madhura, right? So that time all the gopis were not happy. On whom? Not happy on Akrura. Why? Because Akrura is taking away their Lord from their presence, from their association, like that. So that is why, because of their anger, they cursed him. So that is because of their anger, Akrura started to behave like this now. because they treated it like offense. So because that Akrura behaved like this. Number one is being described by Jiva Goswami. And then he also describes Kritavarma. Then why did Kritavarma do like this? Akrura, we understood one reason. Why did Kritavarma try to kill Satyajit like this? Because Kritavarma had a bad association with Kamsa. We all know, when we have bad association, what happens is we start to think like them. We start to act like them like that. So like Kamsa acted envical towards Krishna. So here Kritavarma is acting envical towards Satyajit like that. So that's why we need to be careful whom we associate with. What does association mean? We're spending time with them by opening our heart and hearing from them, by opening our heart and sharing with them some heartful things, what our plans are for the life, like that. So when we engage in the heart by hearing from somebody or by sharing our heartful desires and goals with others, then that's how we associate with others. So we need to be careful whom we associate with, because even though we may be talking some mundane things, their desires will come into us and their thought process will come into us. That's why we are told we hear from parampara, we hear from devotees like that. We associate with devotees like that. Yeah. So that is the reason for Kritavarma going like this, as given by Srila Jiva Goswami or Acharya. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives another reason. He says, actually, Akrura and Kritavarma were devotees of Krishna. So they were very furious on Satyajit. Why? When Krishna asked Satyajit originally for jewel, he didn't give the jewel. And then also Satyajit blamed on Krishna so much like this. So they were upset on Satyajit. Because of this, they made a plan like this. That is the other explanation Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives for us. Moving on to text number 5. So now Akrura and Kritavarma went to Satyadanva and they said, okay, you are very brave, you go and kill Satyajit like that. So now Satyadanva, he went to King Satyajit while he is sleeping in the night time, and while he was sleeping itself, Satyadanva murdered Satyajit in his sleep because of his greed for getting the Samantaka jewel. It's described. So it's described not only Akrura and Kritavarma were hating Satyajit, this Satyadanva was also hating Satyajit, because Satyajit promised that he will give Satyabhama in marriage to Satyadanva also. Satyabhama was so beautiful that everybody was asking, can I marry you, daughter? Can I marry you, daughter? And Satyajit used to say, okay, sure, I'll give you in marriage to you, like that. That's why he was also mad on Satyajit. So now, after Satyadanva killed Satyajit, all the queens in the palace, women in the palace, they were all screaming and they were crying helplessly. Then, but still, Satyadanva's heart didn't change a little bit also. He took the Samantaka jewel and, like a butcher who kills animals mercilessly, he left from that place. So, in the text number 7, finally, Satyabhama comes to know when everybody is crying, oh my God, my father has died. So she also went into deep grief. She was lamenting, my father, oh, I am killed, like that. And then she felt unconscious. In the BBT purport, Srila Jiva Goswami describes Satyabhama was so much anguished with feelings and words for his father's death that that was prompted by Krishna's Leela Shakti. Why? So that way Satyabhama will be so much grief stricken, she'll go to Krishna and plead with him, you must take revenge, like that. Then Krishna will act on her behalf, like that. That is why Leela Shakti is orchestrating all these things. Because Satyabhama is also pure devotee of Krishna. She is a consort of Krishna himself. So she is acting like that, so that on the influence of Leela Shakti, pastime potency of Krishna. In the next verse, so Queen Satyabhama kept her father's dead body in a vat of oil and she went to Hastinapur to meet Krishna. Why did she preserve the body in the oil? Because they could not do, she did not want to do the last rites immediately until Krishna comes. So to preserve the body, she kept that in oil. Our Acharyas also describe another reason she preserved the body is people were telling her, oh, your husband is Krishna, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can bring him back to life, go tell him. Like that they were telling. That is the other reason she preserved the dead body in the vat of oil is described. And then she finally went to Hastinapur. And then she sorrowfully told Krishna that my father is killed like this by Satyadanva. Please do something like that. But is described in this verse, Krishna already knew about the murder already before she even told. Why? Two reasons Acharyas described. One is Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, is omniscient, he knows everything. That is one reason. Second thing is Krishna had spies. So those spies told him already. That's how he came to know already. So then Krishna and Balaram, as soon as they heard about the news, they also cried to follow the social convention on hearing the grief of Satyabhama like that. And then Satyabhama along with Krishna and Balaram went back to Dwarka and he got ready, Krishna got ready to kill Satyadanva and get the jewel from him. So, but Satyadanva, as soon as he heard Krishna is coming to kill him, he got so scared. So he came to Kritavarma first instead of Akrura. Remember Akrura and Kritavarma both asked him to come and kill Satyajit, but he went to Kritavarma first. Why? Kritavarma was a warrior, it seems. He thought Akrura is a devotee, he will not help me. Kritavarma is a warrior, maybe he will help me like that. He went and asked Kritavarma, can you please help me save from Krishna like that? Then Krishna says, oh, how dare I can offend Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead and Balaram? So if somebody troubles them, there will be no good fortune to them. Don't you know? Kamsa and his followers tried to have enmity with Krishna and all their money went away and their life also went away. And even Jarasandha fought with them for 17 times with so much Akshwani's army, but still he could not win. So how can I think about offending Krishna? Like that is describing it to Kritavarma. Now, Satyadanva, now that this Kritavarma refused, he went as a second option to Akrura to ask him, please protect me from Krishna. Krishna is coming to kill me, please protect me. Then Akrura told him, who can oppose two Supreme Personality of Godhead? If somebody knows their strength, how can they oppose them? Like that Akrura started to describe. He is a Supreme Lord who creates, maintains and destroys the entire universe simply as his pastime. So, cosmic creators like Brahma only cannot understand him. How can we understand him? Like that he say. And then how can we protect you against Krishna? And then not only that, he created before our eyes only, before the eyes of people in Braja. Krishna was 7 years old only. At 7 years old, what did he do? He uprooted an entire mountain, Govardhan hill, and then lifted it with his left hand, one finger. So like how children will pick a mushroom, like that he picked up. So our acharyas describe this mountain was not just mud mountain, so it will stay fixed like that. It mountain was small rocks and different big rocks, small rocks were there. So if he lifts, rocks might slide down, but nothing slid down. Everything was intact. Such is the power of Krishna. Such big mountain he lifted like that. So Akrura has said, I offer my obeisance to Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, whose every deed is amazing. He is the Supreme Soul. Like that he is describing. You notice in the previous verse he said, Krishna and Balaram are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now he switched to singular. Krishna is Supreme Lord like that. Our acharyas describe that shows Krishna is absolute truth, and from him Balaram's expansion came, even though he has equal power like Krishna. Like that our acharyas describe. So then Finally, when Akrura also didn't protect him, Satyadanva gave Akrura the jewel, that Samantaka jewel, to keep in his care. It's mine, but you keep it for some time. And then he started running on a horse. The horse can go 100 yojanas, that is 800 miles. One yojana is 8 miles. It's going very, very fast. And then Krishna and Balaram also brought their chariot that had the flag of Garuda, and they started following him. And on the outskirts of a place called Midura, in a garden, Sadhanva's horses collapsed. They could not run anymore. That time, Krishna, and then he started running on feet. Then Krishna also started running behind him, and then he finally killed him with Sudarshan Chakra. Then he started searching his garments, whether there is Samantaka jewel like that. Our acharyas describe, already Krishna knows by his omniscience that Samantaka jewel is with Akrura. But he was so absorbed in his human-like pastimes that he is behaving like this, trying to find the Samantaka jewel with Satyadanva's clothes in his pockets like that. So that's where we end today. We'll hear further pastimes tomorrow. What happened after Krishna killed this Satyadanva? What happened? We'll hear tomorrow from I don't remember who's giving class. I think it's Hare Krishna Kirtan Prabhu. Yeah. So we'll hear tomorrow. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kupasandubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you so much, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.